discuss the new device and first experience, trying to cover as much as possible the different options that we are going to have, that we have now and that we are going to have very soon. So this is my disclosure slide. So I'm Reda Ibrahim, interventional cardiologist at the Montreal Heart Institute in Canada. So as you know, we have established device now in the market for intracardiac implantation, and it's mainly the Watchman that was designed by Atriclip and now bought by Boston Scientific. That device is CE marked since 2005. And we have the Amplatzer cardiac plug that was designed by Kurt Amplatzer and AGA, and AGA was purchased by St. Jude Medical in 2011, I think, and that device is CE marked since now 2008. We have also established device for extracardiac implantation, mainly the Lariat from Center Heart and the Atriclip from Atricure. Both devices are formally FDA approved, so they are approved in the United States. They are also approved in Canada. I suspect that they can be used also in Europe, but there's very little experience with these devices in Europe, what I heard. Just one slide on the Atriclip, so a surgical device, clearly associated with better result than previous surgical technique. They were typically poor, the suture, the staplers. Device that you can place by different ways, full thoracotomy, mini thoracotomy, thoracoscopy, or robotic approach. The potential advantage of that is you, in theory, don't need to give any antiplatelet agents or anticoagulant after that procedure. This is now the Lariat device, so it's a challenging procedure where you need to join typically two magnet guide wire, one from inside the heart and one from the pericardium. Like a dual approach, and then you try to suture your appendage over a balloon that you put in the appendage, leaving, as we heard sometimes, like a residual leak where you have your balloon in your appendage. Again, that device is FDA approved, and that device, in theory, can be used by cardiologists or even a cardiac surgeon during an open heart surgery. You may think that with these devices, because there's no device that you leave in place, there's no need of antiplatelet agents or anticoagulant, but there's more and more case report now reporting thrombus, for example, after Lariat procedure. This is something that we just learned about. So I will suggest that it's not the final solution for a patient who bleeds significantly, even with antiplatelet agents, like the patient with GI bleedings. Concerning now new device, we have tons of new device coming for intracardiac implantation. The Watchman, they are coming with a new generation. The Amulet will come back. I will discuss that a little bit more after. We have the Wavecrest from Corex, the Oclitech, the LifeTech, other devices that we hear since a long time that they are not available yet. The Cedaris patch, the PFM medical device, the Cordia device, the Gore device. So some of these devices, they are very early in their development, and they will eventually reach a market if everything is well in few months, let's say few years. There's also a new device for extracardiac implantation. I will not discuss that more today, but there's other device that they are going to be available. The Tiger Paw was just bought recently by Maquette, a French company. That device is supposed to be available in Europe and United States since 2013. There's another company based in Canada, Vancouver, the Aegis System. The cardioblade closure device is, in theory, available in Europe. It's under investigation in the United States. It's a device by Medtronic, and there's other devices in development. So, concerning new device, the first concept is to perform a transcatheter procedure where you will put an intracardiac device to exclude at least the distal part of the appendage, not all the appendage, but at least the distal part of the appendage from the left atrium. And this is the concept of the Watchman. This is also the concept of the wave crest by Corex. So concerning the Watchman, the next generation will expand the LA treatment range. So we will be able to close larger appendage. As you know now, the largest Watchman device is 31 millimeter large. And then sealing, a better membrane to try to seal the appendage, a closed distal end to try to prevent perforation that occurs sometimes with the distal part of the device that we put far in the appendage, and the ability to fully recapture and to redeploy that device in place should be available very soon, let's say in a year. As a new device, there's also the Wave Crest. The device is CE marked since August 2013. Features of that device include there's no metal hub on the left atrial side. The membrane on the left atrial side is made with PTFE to be more occlusive, also to prevent thrombus formation. There's a foam layer on the LAA side to promote rapid naturalization. The device is highly conformable to the left atrial appendage, but also has enough strength in theory to remain in place. The implant is really designed for proximal implantation at the level of the ostium, so you don't want to go far in the appendage with the device. You want to deploy that device at the ostium. And the anchoring system is made with 30 tines, and it's retractable anchor, so you can deploy and recapture the device as often as you want. You can assess closure during the implantation by distal contrast injection to see if you're sealing well that appendage. Another potential advantage of this device is their limited amount of sizes, 3 sizes actually, 22, 27, and 32 millimeter device. And sizing is based on the average of the largest and the smallest TE diameter, pretty much what we are promoting also with the cardiac plug. And the device is based, the sizing is based on this chart. So you put your two number in that chart, and then you select your device based on that. And typically the nominal device size is at least 3 millimeter larger than the average that you found. Another device that it will come, there's no human implant of this device that I know so far. It's the Occlutech. Pretty much an Amplatzer, but covered with nanomaterial to prevent nickel release. The anchoring system is made with loops instead of hooks to prevent potential perforation at that level in the appendage. There's a flexible connector on the delivery cable to assess the position of that device on the appendage before release. And there's a large range of device, up to 39 millimeters, so very large, with a 3 millimeter increment from 15 millimeters, so wide range of device to treat a lot of different size appendage. So it was concept number 1. Concept number 2 is a transcatheter procedure with an intracardiac device, again, to exclude now all the appendage, trying to covering the ostium, the pacifier effect. Again, now the prototype of that is the cardiac plug, but there's another device named the LifeTech that is reproducing that concept. Concerning the LifeTech, just a few words to say that it's potentially a combination of an Amplatzer and a Wave Crest. Amplatzer because there's a disc that will cover the ostium, very similar to the cardiac plug, and the distal part is very similar also to the Wave Crest. Because the implantation technique is really similar also, you will deploy that device from the ostium, delivering your anchoring system at the ostium. There's no need to go distal in the appendage with this device. Concerning the Amulet, it's, as you know, is the second generation of the cardiac plug. A lot of good advantage with this device. The key feature of the Amulet include the fact that it's coming preload. There's larger size, up to 34 millimeter. The largest cardiac plug was 30 millimeter. There's a thicker lobe here, surrounded by more stabilizing wires, especially on the larger device, to increase the stability of the device in the appendage. There's also a longer waist between the lobe and the disc to be able to deploy that device more distal in the appendage. There's a larger disc to cover the osseum, and there's an invert pin on the disc on the LA side to prevent thrombus formation at that level. Concerning the status of the Amulet, the first in men was done by us in Montreal in July 2012. New technology assessment with a small group of implanters in February 2013, and then limited market release until between April 2013 to July 2013. And at that point, St. Jude decided to discontinue the distribution of the device, not because it's not a good device, but for issues with the delivery cable. There was some, because so far, after the limited market release, there was 250 approximately devices put in place. The feedback was very positive about the device. But because of some issue with the cable, company decided to stop the distribution, rework on the cable, and then come back eventually on the market with that device. So as I said, the cable is supposed to be completely redesigned. The work is almost done, and the next step will be potentially another limited release in summer, in a few months, and eventually a full release of this device at the fall or next winter. I need to say the experience with the Amulet, so this device at the Montreal Art Institute was very good. As I said, we did the first case in July 2012, and between July and August, we did 28 patients with this device, all patients with formal contraindication to oral anticoagulant, all patients discharged on dual antiplatelet therapy for 3 months, then monotherapy, all patients followed with a clinical visit and a TE between 1 and 3 months after the procedure. Very high procedural success. We were able to put that device in all the patients but one. And the case that was not successful was a very, very small triangular shape appendage. There's no device that can fit, I think, in this appendage. Concerning periprocedural complication, very, very low number, one hair embolism without any consequence, one thrombus formation on the delivery sheet while I was preparing the device on the table. We were able to trap that thrombus in the appendage behind the device, so nothing to do with the device, and 2 minor bleeding without any consequence, no transfusion. Concerning the follow-up, there was no clinical event. Still, there's no clinical event with the follow-up of these patients. TE was obtained in the majority of the patient, and there was 1 minor residual leak, and there was 1 asymptomatic device thrombus. Actually, it's a patient where I closed the appendage, but also closed a very large ASD at the same time. Patient came back with 2 thrombus, one on the LA occluder and one on the ASD occluder. So it was my first thrombus on the LA occluder since I'm doing this, and it was my first thrombus also on the ASD occluder, both on the same patient. I suspect that something is wrong with that patient. So the advantage of the Amulet is certainly the ability to close very large anatomy. We have 34 millimeter device. Also the ability to close very difficult anatomy, including chicken wing, something that we described nicely in a recent paper. So in conclusion, LA occlusion is definitely a growing field with multiple companies now involved and device that we can apply by different approach, either intracardiac approach or extracardiac approach. It seems to me that our team approach should be promoted in that field, knowing the device that we have now, to involve not only clinician, but also imaging specialists, including the interventional echographer, interventional cardiologists, EPs, but also probably surgeons. Thank you very much for your attention.